Walking with Jesus. Today we are in the hubby's vehicle because we went to Lake Charles, but we are still going to do our devotional. And today the devotional, one of the verses is in 1 Kings chapter 19 verse 12. And I got it. Woo. And after the earthquake and fire, but the Lord was not in the fire, and after the fire is a still small voice. The verse right before it says, he said, go forth and stand upon the mount before the Lord, and behold, the Lord passed by, a great and strong wind rent the mountains and break into pieces the rocks before the Lord, but the Lord was not in the wind, and after the wind an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. Today's devotional is about hearing God's voice. And sometimes we are like consumed with social media, different apps, different For You pages, and sometimes we're just so busy that we just don't take time to study His Word and be in His Word. Even though we went to Lake Charles this morning, I still did the lesson, and as we was coming back, I even wrote down some little bitty notes. The song that comes to mind is Still Small Voice. It's about hearing God's Word and finding Him in the midst of the chaos. And sometimes God will send messages in the chaos, and we just it's like a reminder, kind of like, wait, God, that might be what God is telling me. I connected with this. It is one of those things that I had said at the beginning, that when God constantly puts something in your face, and it's either in your news feed or it's in your feed, period, all of whatever's got your attention, and you keep seeing it pop up, that is God's telling you, hey, this is what I want you to pay attention to. This is what I want you to look at. And with me, I noticed that when I turn my attention to it and I focus on it, and then I go, and of course, that's lightning. I would find it in the Bible, and half the time when these videos or these people kept talking, there's normally some people will have like Bible verses that will keep popping up, and I'll go find it, and it is something that I have been praying about, or it's been on my mind, and it's like God is telling me that is what I need to pay attention to. And when I stop and pay attention, I actually feel more closer to God, and I know that God is pointing me in that direction, and that is His voice pointing me in the direction that I need to go. And when I don't seem like I'm focusing on Him, and I'm just so focused on everything around me that everything is getting chaotic, that's God's voice pointing me in that direction. When it's constantly in your face and it's constantly wanting your attention, and it could be phrased differently on multiple different occasions, that's God saying, hey, I need you to stop and pay attention to me, because I'm trying to get your attention. The next, and on this verse, no, it didn't. It gives a prime example in verse 11 about an earthquake, about a wind, and he was not in there. Verse 12, it says, after the earthquake a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire, and after the fire a still small voice. Meaning after everything happened and everything was calming down, that's where God was. Because we all of a sudden think that He's going to be in the raging waters, with the raging winds, and that could be just getting your attention. And then when you turn to Him, that's when you're going to hear His voice. That's when you're going to hear Him play clearly to what He's trying to tell you to do, or what He's directing you in. The next verse is in Isaiah chapter 30 verse 21, way, walk ye in it, when ye turn to the right hand and when you turn to the left. It's what I've been saying is, when you hear God's word and you turn toward Him, you're going to hear it more. You're going to hear His voice more clearly, and it's going to be like a connection in you that's like, that's what God's been telling me to do. We've been talking about the difference between being stopped and still. And stop means you just stop where you are. You're no longer moving. You're giving up. Being still means the gear that God is tightening those gears. He's fixing them. He's preparing you to start shifting and start moving. And when you start listening to His voice and start directing your everything toward that, and not focusing so much on everything being so busy and so fast in the fast lane, God's going to start shifting those gears, and He's going to start pointing you in the way that you need to go, instead of, oh, the world wants you to go here, let's go this way, let's go do whatever. No, He's not. He wants you to listen to Him and point in His direction. And just like yesterday when I talked about watering, you want to start watering your faith. That's part of watering your faith is listening to God's word, listening to what He's calling you to do. He wants a relationship with you. Your walk is not going to be the same as somebody else's walk. My walk is not going to be the same as anybody else's walk. He wants that relationship with you, so He's going to get your attention in a way that is going to connect to you. Whatever is on your For You pages, whatever is on your news feed, He's going to get your attention no matter what conversation you're in. They might say something that all of a sudden just clicks in your brain. It's like, oh, wait a minute, I've heard that before, and it's because you heard it in another conversation, or you've seen it in another video, and you're like, and the connection starts happening, and the watering starts happening, and your faith starts growing, and that lightning is getting out of hand. We're driving in a rainstorm right now. But the whole purpose is to stop. Even if you're in a vehicle and you just had a great day and you're going home and you're like, wait a minute, I have not spent time with God. This is your reminder to do that. To water that faith and to keep going and to listen to His small voice. So as always, keep joining us as we're shifting these gears